Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Toonami Faithful podcast and for Adult Swim Central. And we're here with the voice of Naruto herself, Maile Flanagan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We do have a couple of questions for you. And first, we're going to start with Naruto.
Yeah.
How did you first get into the role? I mean, you have not done much anime outside of that, outside of Naruto
Not really, no, none.
Yeah.
Almost. My agent sent it to me. I auditioned. I went into a sort of an extended callback, which was like a 45-minute callback with a lot of producers there and intimidating people. And when I got out, I was like, well, I hope I have the job. And they were like, oh, you got the job. I was like, that's awesome. And then I went home and Googled it, and I was like, oh, my God, this is huge.
I guess coming in from an outsider's perspective into the anime industry, how did you feel about it, and have the fans been accepting, and how has the community kind of treated you?
You know, I'm not going to lie. At first, there was a little bit of conflict there because I was an outsider. No one had ever heard of me in the anime industry. I'm not like someone like Steve Bloom who has done 1,000, anime roles. And Naruto is an iconic role, and the woman in Japan, Junko, does such a great job that, it's hard to just start something fresh if people are used to somebody else. But they've been amazing. I mean, there were just a few things in the beginning where some fans were a little grumbly, but it's been amazing, and it's only grown and grown and grown. I mean, I've been doing it for 8 years, so it's incredible to see all over the world,
Yes, and you do a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
And I have to ask about the Naruto voice because it sounds just like the Japanese version. I compare the two, and it sounds exactly like.
Yeah.
But when you're going into Shippuden, you got to make Naruto a little older. How did you find that voice?
Well, in my voiceover career, I do mostly boys, and I do boys from very, very little to teenage boys. So I kind of already had it in my wheelhouse, and then they just sort of made me perfect it. And then the first episodes of Naruto Shippuden, our director, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who I love, she'd be like, all right, remember he's a little more mature. And it's a lot of it is about maturity level more than vocal placement. So now it sounds weird when I go back and do young Naruto. Like in a flashback, I'll have to flip-flop in an episode. And that, when he's younger now, it sounds weird to me.
Now, I got to ask about the Emmy. I mean, very few people have one of those. Is it still surreal at this point after it's been like 6 years since you won it?
Yeah, it's very surreal. And I was also nominated the next year, but I lost to Eartha Kitt. Damn her. No, she was great, and she deserved it. And I knew I was going to lose. It's surreal. I mean, every once in a while I'll be watching TV, and my Emmy is in my TV room, and I'll kind of look over and be like, hey, I have one of those. And in fact, during the Emmy broadcast, I always go, hey, I have one of those. I have an Emmy. And then when my friends come over, I always make them take a picture with it, and then people put it on Facebook and stuff. So, yeah, it's surreal.
Now, I have to ask, because I'm a big Reno 911 fan.
Oh, yeah.
How was it to work with improv, like that improvisational style on the show in front of, like, how many takes did that take, I guess?
Well, I started doing improv. I done improv for years. So that part wasn't weird to me. What was intimidating was going into that group of people that have been improvising with each other for so many years. And I was a fan of the show, too. When I went into audition for that, I went into audition with, the main people that created it, the guys on the show. And when I went in there, I just chose a character when I walked in. And the character, they had given a few guidelines. But the character was kind of like the character that I chose was like just kind of pissy and angry. Right. And so they said, are you ready? And I was like, yeah, I'm ready. And they were like, oh, we got a live wire. So at least I had already done that in the audition, because that's how you audition. You improvise. But it was fantastic working with them. Yeah. And they don't do that many takes. What they'll do is different versions of a take. Mm-hmm. Or they'll say, okay, we like that. Can you get to that a little faster? Or just do something like that. But it's never exactly the same.
Oh, okay. Now, I guess this is going to be our last question, because you are an accomplished stage actress. You're in front of the camera. You're behind the microphone. You're everywhere. But I do wonder this, because I've come from the stage myself very few times. But what's it like doing stage work compared to stand-up work? I've always wondered what that's like.
Well, I mean, stand up, you're all alone. You're out there all alone. And when it's not going well, it doesn't go well at all, as you know. And when you're on stage, you're with other people. So even if, it's sort of not the best show, in a long run, you always have somebody else that you can, sort of bounce it off of. But that's the biggest difference, when you're tanking in stand-up, or it's a quiet crowd or a really drunk or rowdy crowd, that is really tough. But also when it's going well, it's amazing. It's, it's like being in a stadium and being a rock star, small stadium.
Well, Maile, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We have way more content for you guys in the future. And thank you so much for joining us here at Otakon 2013.
Watch Naruto!
Only Toonami.